All right, welcome everybody to our latest Live Motocross podcast as we talk all things Thunder Valley Pro Motocross with the great man Jeff Beaver from Whiskey Throttle Media. Obviously, firstly, thank you to everyone for listening and supporting the site. We really appreciate it. We'd also like to thank our sponsors in Fly Racing, Firepower, Dirt Store, and Fuchs Silkerland for all their incredible support. As without them, none of this be possible. All right, welcome Jeff. How's life? And thanks for joining us again, mate. You're flat out.
Yeah, flat out up here working at the gold mine till the end of the month, and then off to Redbud. So I'm stoked about that. But hey, real quick before we get started, what can you reiterate what you just told me about Trevor Collip?
Yeah, it sounds like he's in a pretty bad way. So definitely sharing all the prayers and well wishes are going to Trevor and his family. It looks like he's had a crash at the top of the hill there, broken the femur, and then basically looks like there's been complications with the surgery, which has resulted in some brain damage and some strokes, which is really sad to hear. And obviously he's got a couple of surgeries coming up this week, obviously to repair the heart. So there's no more issues in relation to the brain. And it sounded like there was bone marrow containing fat emboli got into his bloodstream, and that hole in the heart allowed the fat emboli to travel to his brain, causing the stroke. So definitely fingers crossed that everything's okay for him and all the well wishes and prayers are going his way, mate, because it's absolutely tragic. He'd been making some really good steps, hadn't he, Jeff? So you see him week in and week out, mate. So definitely shout out to him and his family.
Yeah, Trevor was a cool kid, and he was probably the fastest guy on the Ty Lube Honda team. I met him at Tampa this year, and super nice kid, fast, really putting in the grind and trying to do something. And man, to have that gnarly of a crash and a broken leg, and then you end up having a friggin' stroke after that. I mean, damn, dude. So fingers crossed, and I don't know if he has a GoFundMe or Road to Recovery he's doing anything, but I'm going to reach out to Mike Young with Road to Recovery after this and see if he's aware of what the hell's going on. I'll be forward me that link that I can send to him, but that boy's going to need some prayers and some financial assistance if anybody can help. So
Yeah.
keep him in your thoughts.
Absolutely. It looks like there's a post on RacerX about the injury. So obviously the message is being spread. So hopefully, yeah, good on you, mate, for helping him out. And yeah, hopefully the outcome's as good as possible, mate, because it's looking pretty grim. And it's another really tragic thing in the world of moto this year. Obviously, there's been so many bad injuries, and you look at Jerry Robin and the Joel Evans tragically passing. It's just another example of how gnarly the sport is, isn't it?
And it's freaking brutal, dude. Absolutely brutal.
Yeah, so yeah, definitely sending all the well wishes to all of them, mate. But yeah, on to Thunder Valley, mate. The track was pretty demanding. Obviously, had that weather leading into it, big ruts. The top guys, there was quite a lot of separation between them and the rest, wasn't it? You could see just big gaps between even the, first to third or first to fifth or whatever. But yeah, it was certainly a demanding test, and that roost looked pretty gnarly there, mate. There was some blokes just copping it absolutely all moto. But yeah, the track guys did a great job given the weather and everything they had to contend with. They did constant work on it. So what was your take on it, mate?
I just think those guys did an excellent job of getting it in good shape. It was super, super soft and blown out, and I was like, man, this is gonna be a slot car race, but it came out pretty freaking good, dude.
Yeah, they did a good job, eh? There's been some wild weather in moto across, MXGP and obviously this weekend too, Supercross. It's been all over the shop, mate. But it's certainly a test for the riders. And I guess we'll start with Jett, mate. Another 1-1. Yeah, still not content. Knows he can do better, which is scary. But he said obviously that he struggled a little bit more in that first section of the track. But the second section, he was particularly excellent. Even AP was mentioning that. But yeah, he's just technically looked so strong, and he looks like he's getting better with the bike. Obviously, they're doing that testing's paying off, and he's really finding his groove, mate. So it's pretty scary for the competition. He's still building in a way because he doesn't really have any weaknesses. And I guess we just look forward to more Tomac battles. Obviously, AP got up there and challenged him, but yeah, it's looking good, isn't it, mate? He's going to be tough to beat, isn't he?
He's a freak of nature, dude. I mean, he out of all the 450 motocross races he's entered, he's lost one, and that's when he got hurt. I mean, that's
Crazy.
insanity, dude. That's insanity. I mean, if he keeps going that way, he's going to make Ricky look like a dime store motocross rider, and that's an- amazing to even think about. I mean, just guys, dude's a freak. I mean, he is an alien, dude. I don't know, man. That's insanity, dude. I'm just blown away at what that kid does on a bike, and he makes it look simple.
Yeah, it's
It's
crazy.
just a trip.
Yeah, mate, he pieces it all together so well, and like those dudes were pushing, especially Tomac was really giving him all he could handle. Obviously, if he got better starts, Tomac, you could just imagine how sort of good those battles would have been for longer. But another quality day for Tomac. Obviously, that second moto spill was a bit frustrating, and he just seemed to struggle to get past certain dudes, like whether it was AP or Hunter. He just couldn't quite make the move, and that little bit of time wasted just gave Jett the more gap, and he could just control the race. But hard to pass on that track too. Hard to pull the trigger and get it done assertively. But yeah, he looks ready for the battle with Jett, mate. I reckon he's, just chomping at the bit to get after it again this weekend because he's looking fast and you can see the body language on the bike. It's all there, isn't it? So it's exciting.
Yeah, I don't think he likes what the results he's getting right now. I bet that boy is frustrated as all hell, but I don't think by any means we've seen. I don't think he's 100%. You know what I mean? Everybody's kind of assuming since he's back, he's 100%, and I don't think we haven't seen beast mode. So
Hmm.
hopefully, in the next week or two, it starts to work out for him. I just want to see him get up there and make it kind of like a chase type battle from a couple years ago.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, mate. And obviously, there's sort of the word is that he'll be off to KTM, and obviously AP dropped those comments in the press conference, mate. So that'll be pretty exciting to see
And
AP and
you gotta
Tomac
give
on
props to
KTM.
Hopper how he asked
Yeah.
that question. That was pretty funny, dude. Did you see Jett in the press conference covering his mouth? He was laughing, that and of course Eli, dude, if I ever wanted a poker partner, Eli Tomac would be the guy, dude. That guy's stone cold killer, dude. Did you kill that man? Nope. Lie right in your face. Not 1 ounce of expression on his face.
Oh, it's gold, isn't it, mate? And obviously, the AP, mate. How good's his start to the season been? He's got that intensity, aggression. He's got the sprint speed, and he made that pass on Jett in the moto, even though he didn't hold on to it. But yeah, it's super impressive, and he's really motivated and looking really confident too, isn't he, mate? And he wants to fight with these dudes, and all the things are really positive. He has to say. Obviously, he made a bike change, which didn't quite work out for him. But yeah, the fans are loving him. He's loving it, and he's happy with the bike, and just another great weekend and step in the right direction, wasn't
Yeah, the 450 racing was fantastic. I mean,
it?
passing Jett was like, holy crap, dude! No way he passed him. I thought it was pretty sick, dude. I was in my office watching the moto, and I'm like, yeah, like pounding on the desk. My buddy's like, what's going on? Shut up, leave me alone. But yeah, that was pretty sick, dude.
Yeah, he's looking good, mate. And obviously, yeah, him and Tomac will be a pretty cool team if that obviously happens, which is expecting it will. And obviously, Jay Coopy, obviously, everyone was coming in. It's a track he does well, thinking that he'd do really well. And he did well, but he probably wanted more. Obviously, he's primed for a race when he's got the lead, led laps, fastest qualifier, wasn't he, mate? And, just didn't quite have the pace of Jett and Eli down the stretch because they were just on another level in the end. But yeah, you can't knock Cooper, mate. He turns up every weekend. He puts in a solid shift. And, do you think he can win one of these eventually, mate? Or is it just too many things have to go in his favor for that to happen?
I definitely think you could. I was listening to Main Event Moto this morning, and RH22 and Blair and all those guys were talking about it, and they said that they think he's going to win one, and I agree. And then they said it'd probably be Unadilla, and I kind of agree with that too. New York, he's just going to be coming into his home state. Yeah, I would not. I'd be surprised if he didn't get an overall this year.
Yeah, he's looking good, isn't he, mate? Are you going to be at Unadilla as well, just quickly?
Yep, yep,
Yeah.
yep. I don't care what happens. I'm going to Unadilla.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool track, isn't it, mate? A little bit out in the middle of nowhere, but pretty cool track, eh, for sure. And as you sort
That's
of look,
right where I belong, in the middle of nowhere. The farther away from people, the more happy I am. And I can handle the people at the track because they're moto people, so I can tolerate that kind of crowd. But yeah, otherwise people can F off.
Yeah, mate, it's the way, mate. Just yeah, hang out with the people you want to hang out with. That's what it's all about, eh? And as we move down the list, Hunter, mate, a little bit rough going 4-4 for fifth. The results don't reflect the speed. That little tip over obviously cost him, but silly mistakes, they really hurt you in this class, mate, because everything else is there. The speed, technique, the skill, it's all there. He's looking good and not long back from a shoulder injury too. You got to remember that because it's sort of when you compare other riders to Jett coming back from injury, it's a little bit unfair. But I think he said the worst thing about the weekend is that he got the starts and then got reeled in, which is a bit of a blow to the confidence. But yeah, he's looking really good. The level's so high, and you got to really give him the praise, don't you?
How that Moto 1 start, dude, he just snuck up from the left side and just, nope, gotcha. So Yeah, he's got some heat for them, and the shoulder injury isn't easy to come back from. But I just want to see Aaron get a win, Hunter, Justin Cooper, Eli. Just I don't want to run away, dude. It'll be a snooze fest. I mean, if they keep taking jabs at him, eventually they'll get him.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how it plays out. And you're gonna keep those funny, awkward moments with Cam and Christian, the mechanics of the Lawrence brothers there at HRC. Is that still gonna roll on when you're back there, mate?
I think I'm just going to save that as a Supercross thing because I found that trying to do it at the Nationals is a real bear because the way they go down to the line and everything, and you don't have the opening ceremonies kind of thing, which is where I would get them at. And it's just I found it to be kind of difficult. Same with the kind of talking shit videos. It's a little difficult to do. It's a lot easier to do during track walks. So I think I'm going to save those for Supercross. I got to come up with something else to be a smart ass for the outdoor nationals.
Yeah, mate, it's pretty awesome stuff. They're good lads, and yeah, it's good to have a laugh. And yeah, you definitely got a good rapport with them, mate. So it helps with the content. And obviously, as you work down the list, you got Cooper Webb in sixth. Really solid effort again. He's just happy he's out there, and I think he's pretty stoked that he's beaten dudes like Prado and Hampshire and Stewart and Savachi. Like it's no mean feat. Obviously, rough weekend for the Kawasaki guys. But a few words on Webb, mate. He's just enjoying life after winning that Supercross, doing it outdoors, no pressure, not too much expectation, and he's actually riding really well, even though he's not sort of grabbing the headlines. It's good stuff, isn't it?
Well, I think if you look, I think he's in the lead for the combined SMX points. So he doesn't have to win, but he just has to be in that top 10 to really come into SMX in the finals. He's just got to do good for what, 8 more rounds and 9 more rounds, or what? No, 8 more rounds, and he's coming into North Carolina and smelling like a rose. So there's a little bit of craftiness in the Webb out there riding, and he doesn't have to win, but he sure has to be there.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. And I'd love your take on Prado. Obviously, a lot of talk about the bike and how he's doing. And, he got the start a little bit like top five starts sort of thing around there and just dropping off. He just can't keep up with those blokes. So he made the comments about the bike, but it's just not looking like the Prado we know. But obviously, it must be so frustrating for him. Obviously, crashed out of that second moto after in the first one. So just your take on the whole situation, mate. It's getting a lot of headlines, isn't it?
Yeah, well, in the kind of motor media thread that we have at Kawasaki, somebody asked if he was okay, and they had no comments. So I have no idea what's going on with him. But your boy Lewis, he had an interview with him, and he says he needs more power out of the bike. He needs a lot more power. So I don't know if there's a rub there with those guys, and they're just working it out, or what. But if he doesn't get what he wants, he's not going to be able to do what he wants. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it must be frustrating for him, especially after that Supercross injury, sort of back to year one almost on that for 2026. And the motocross was where he really wanted to shine. And he obviously hasn't gone to plan really for the defending MXGP champion, four-time total, world champion. So, yeah, we'll just watch that with interest, mate, because surely it's going to pick up soon. Obviously, the team's working hard and yeah, it's just not a great look, but it's calling out the team so early. It's not ideal, is it?
Well, let's build him a rocket ship and say, if I was a team manager, all right, throw everything you have at that son of a bitch, build him a top fuel dragster, and that's what you want. That's what you're going to get. But don't bitch when you can't hold on. That'd be my motto. For gluing your gloves, sucker.
Hang on, but yeah, as we sort of look at RJ, another great effort made. Obviously, seventh, went 6-7. He's been so good. He must be still struggling with that wrist. So he'd probably be thinking I should have moved up earlier to that 450 class. Obviously, ahead of Stewart, his teammate. Then Gio, ninth, really impressive by him, mate. The Swiss rider there. And then Savachi, 10th. Bloss, 11th. That's a good comeback on the beta there. 13 for 11th. So that's pretty kind. Then Coulis and then Prado. Colt Nichols, ninth in that last moto there, mate. Super good. And then Shock in 15th overall. Ripped the whole shot. Was looking good, mate. So any you'd like to touch on there?
I thought that was sick that Cody ripped that whole shot, and then I saw him later on in the moto riding around with his front number plates hanging off him. Well, get him next time, bud. But I just thought that was sick that Cody got the whole shot, and then I forget who posted it, but I was looking on Instagram this morning, and I think it was Johnny Hopper posted. He posts all that little funny shit like stuff that people are doing and stuff like that. Kind of like his take on things, and uh, he showed Benny Bloss using a starting device. It's like you got Jeffrey the Giraffe out on a dirt bike, and the guy needs a starting block, but he was using one single starting block. And so I think what it was is he was using to balance himself just so he could start with his feet on the pegs position, instead of lifting all 73 feet of outrigger he's got going on there. He's just in position and doesn't have to throw off the equilibrium of the planet. But yeah, I just thought that was funny as shit. Like Benny Bloss, if he's in a starting block, they should dig a hole for his ass, so he'll be comfortable. Put a couple potholes on each side of the bike.
Yeah, no, it's good to
Uh,
see the beater out there racing motocross too,
yeah,
because they had a pretty strong supercross season. So obviously in the top 10 in the MXGPs this weekend with Ben Watson. So pretty solid weekend across the globe for the beater lads. And obviously on the 250 now, mate. How good was Chance Hymas? Obviously all that preseason hype. He'd been riding moto a couple of months, sort of focused on that after the supercross title hopes were sort of unrealistic. But yeah, he was unreal at that track, just like he was last year. He's so technically proficient through the ruts. He loves that challenging stuff, and obviously training back home in Idaho, took the bike back there, and that obviously paid off. And you heard, JS7 on the commentary saying with that home cooking and making all those humorous comments, mate. But yeah, carrying speed, he had the lean angles, the balance, it was all really good. So always good when you can beat Deegan, isn't it, mate? And Chance was definitely dialed this weekend.
yeah, he was absolutely perfect. Fastest qualifier, full shot both motos, led every lap. I mean, you can't ask for a better freaking day, dude. And I called it when I was on the show with Blair a couple weeks ago. I said I think Hymas is he's gonna do it at Thunder Valley, and he's from Pocatello, Idaho, and so that's high elevation, mountain valley town, a lot like where same kind of scenario Colorado is. So I think it just plays to what he grew up riding.
Yeah, mate, he certainly shone for sure, going 1-1, getting the overall. And obviously, Deegan might have been able to, run him down in that first one, if not for the bike issue. He obviously managed that pretty impressively because he must have been getting pretty worried that it might just cut out at any moment. So, still in command of the championship, second moto just had that spill when he was pushing. But yeah, he still doesn't mind launching any section, mate. He goes hard and he's always good value for the fans, isn't he, Deegs?
Yeah, great ride. I like on the podium and said, well, if a second's a bad day, I'll take it. But he seemed like he just wasn't comfortable all day. I don't know if they missed on the bike setup or, on top of having to baby the bike home and get that thing in and not blow up. That was impressive. And it speaks volume to the motors that Star's building that it can get that messed up and still finish a race. And that Haiden was smart enough not to throw it away. But, you know, I also, me personally, I was just kind of wondering, I wonder if he's got any after effects from Hangtown, with his stroke swelling up, if that messed with him, but even if it did and he still went out going second, that doesn't speak very well to everybody else for the rest of the year. We've all seen how he rides at High Point, I'm sure he wants to get a little redemption at High Point next weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be good to see, mate. I heard, I didn't actually see it, but I heard there was a social media post Deegs put up saying no electrolyte deficiency today, having a dig at Hymas after he threw up at Hangtown. So funny dig there. He doesn't mind the beef simmering away, does he, Deegs?
Yeah, I don't think they're exchanging Christmas cards. If they do, it's a flaming bag of dog shit on their front doorstep. But yeah, I like I just like how he screws with everybody, dude. I think it's freaking epic, dude.
Oh, mate, it's so good, isn't it? Being a fan, something to sort of carry on with, especially during the midweek when he's training and he just loves it. He can't help himself, can he, mate? But yeah, obviously onto the last man on the podium there, Levi Kitchen, really good ride. Obviously would want better starts and want to be up there more, but yeah, he was finished in there ahead of March Banks, who third in that first moto was great, and then yeah, just didn't put himself in the best position in the next one, and then VR was fifth, and Joe getting sixth, just missed that podium at the end when Kitchen passed him. So any takeaways from those guys, mate? It's just hard for anyone to get up to Deegan and just be consistent enough to be a real contender, it seems, doesn't it?
I'm surprised with the consistency of Levi. I didn't think it would be there this summer, especially after what we saw at Paula. But he's back, and Joe better figure it out because Levi's going to stomp all over him if he doesn't.
Yeah, I reckon, mate. And as you go down the list, Cochrane, another solid effort for seventh. Dylan Schwartz, eighth on the Bar X. Yamaha there, mate. How good was he? He's been really good, finishing ahead of Harrop there and Masterpool. Fourth in the first moto, looked great. I believe he had some issues, maybe throwing up and all that, to end up with 10th overall and Max Voland 11th overall. So, yeah, pretty impressive. Some of those rides in there, mate. But Masterpool just wanted to get those two motos pieced together, won't he?
Yeah, well, I was most stoked about Dylan getting seventh overall, man.
Mm.
That guy's had a rough couple of years, and I've seen him ride so much at the test tracks, and he's so freaking fast and aggressive on the bike. And it's good to see him the fruits of his labors because he's a cool kid. He doesn't talk a lot of trash or do anything. He's just pretty quiet, but he's cool as hell, and he just gets down outdoors, dude. I wouldn't be surprised if he keeps it up if he ends up with a factory ride sooner than later. He's one of
Yeah.
those guys I think that's on a trajectory to go up.
Yeah, just once he gets that base continually built and doesn't have any more injuries, mate, the sort of sky's the limit for some of those dudes, what they can do, isn't it?
Yeah, he'll be like the 400th rider on Star. you know.
Yeah. Talking to Star, mate, how good was the Aussie Caden Meaney? Obviously, I did a podcast with him last week after he went 1-1 at Hangtown. Super impressive pro debut, mate. He's clearly ready for the level, 18-12. I believe that 18th was conditioned by a late crash when he was around 10th, so could have been even better, but he's raced pro in Australia for a few years already, so he's clearly ready for that level, mate, but still doesn't make it any less impressive, does it?
No, Caden's ready to go, and like I said, he's a star in the making. He's got the right attitude. Once people hear him talk on the mic and he starts getting on the podium, people are going to dig the shit out of that kid. He's just cool. He's just Joe Cool from Australia, And hopefully he stays that way and doesn't get an agent that tells him not to be himself. Just God, I want an Aussie just to be himself and call people on the microphone. It'll be great, dude. The kid's cool, definitely cool. Can't wait to see what he does.
Yeah, mate, it'd be good to see it. Anything else from the 250s or 450s you'd like to touch on, mate? Obviously, pretty quality weekend of racing, really, especially that 450 class. But there's a lot going on, a lot to take away from another quality round, wasn't it, mate? Anything going on at Whiskey Throttle too? Obviously, you're crushing it, mate. Obviously, Ethan did a great job on the weekend, mate. So, just anything you'd like to touch on there?
Yeah, just carry on and get ready for High Point. I was stoked that the girls raced WMX on Saturday, and I sure shit hope that they make a pivot and put the girls racing after the 450s on Saturday because I think people are here for it. You can run it on Peacock, and I just thought it was sick, dude. I really did, dude. And that Lachlan Turner, she's a freaking little beast. She was ripping, and KK and that other girl came together. That sucked for KK, but oh well, no, she'll be back. So that was kind of good for Jordan Jarvis after ending up being a doormat at Hangtown when she was getting landed on. So to come back and get a podium was good for Jordan. And Jordan's actually going to race with the guys this weekend at High Point, and she did all of the 22 outdoor nationals. No, 22 or 23. I think it was 22. She did the outdoor nationals. Racing against the guys. She's a gnarly chick. So definitely that'd be cool if she qualified for High Point, made the afternoon program.
Yeah, that's impressive, mate. Yeah, challenging track that, and they certainly did a great job of it. And obviously, lastly, mate, I got to ask, how was Ping's trip with the Ducati to Bologna to test the bike? Obviously, the video you guys put together was really sweet, but he had a blast, no doubt.
Yeah, he had a good time. He said the factory was sick. They got to see the first production Ducati come off the line. The factory actually held up production for everybody to get over there, so they got to see the first Ducati 450 come off the line. And said the bike was good. Said it revs to the moon. They actually had to cap it because of sound, but the thing will rev to the moon and back. So I was like, man, maybe Deegan does need to go on the Ducati because he likes to rev the piss out of everything, dude. And Bam Bam's over there frothing at the mouth. That thing revs how high? Put a map switch in there so I can pass sound and then pin it to win it and go to 20 grand. Jesus, that would be insanity, dude.
Yeah, mate, it's going to be awesome. And obviously, mate, lastly, week ahead for you, mate. How's it all going? What's it happening with Whiskey Throttle? Just keep pumping the content out and you're working away hard on the mines there, mate. So, yeah, give us a rundown of what's ahead.
We're just helping the ladies get set up with our Gear Up podcast that we're doing with Emily and Kristen and producing that and helping them get off the ground. It's on our channel. It's a lot of cool stuff. We had Haley Shanley from Race Day Live on. So those girls are killing it. They had a good vision and we teamed up with them to help them produce it and host it. So we're helping them scheduling shows, and they're getting they got some couple good guests coming on next week. So doing that, and just strategizing about which way we're going to take Whiskey Throttle and how we're going to proceed with Instagram and all that, kind of doing that kind of stuff. And yeah, so a lot of good things, a lot of good input from people around the industry this week about what we're doing. So it's kind of taking on all in and absorbing it, and spit it back out as something rad.
Yeah,
And
mate,
then
well said.
fixing this freaking gold mine. Anybody want to take my job? This shit sucks. I want to go out to film moto, but I want my paycheck. You got to do it for free.
Yeah, mate, you're certainly grinding away, mate. But you'll be back at the races for sure, no doubt. And thanks again for joining us on this one, mate. That's been Jeff Beaver, Whiskey Throttle Editor at Large. Obviously, massive thanks to the fans. Huge shout out to the sponsors in Fly Racing, Firepower, Dirt Store, and Fuchs Still Clean for supporting this one, as without them, none would be possible. All right, thanks again, Jeff, mate. All the best out there, and we look forward to catching up next week.
Yeah, we'll do it.
No worries, mate. Have a good one.